Hey, our OC story begins January 2020. Builders None, we were doing a recovery event at a church up in Douglasville, and just so happens Gene Fields was the pastor there, and he introduced himself as the janitor. I knew he wasn't the janitor, but I realized that night that he was a really, really good guy, and several months went by, and I got a phone call from Gene. And he had asked me to come lead worship at his church. And my first thought was, yeah, I'm not interested, but Gene was kind of persistent. And he said, well, just have lunch with me. So I agreed to have lunch. I'm like, well, absolutely, I'll have lunch with you. I'm not gonna, deny God an opportunity if he's in it. So we had lunch together, and as we were walking out, I was thinking, man, this is such a really nice man. And then our two trucks were parked out front of the restaurant, and he said, is that your truck? And I said, is that your truck? They both had Georgia Tech tags on them, so I knew immediately we were going to be pretty good friends.
And during that same time, prior to the lunch, Andy and I had already spoke about we really don't want to travel 45 minutes to go to church because, we're very involved in our church, and that would be hard for us, to be involved. So I went to Sherwin-Williams, and I met a pastor friend of Andy's, and he had told me that he had recently left his church and was going to a different church, and coincidentally it was a 45-minute drive to his new church. And he said, at first that bothered me. He said, but now it's nothing. He said, I don't even realize that I'm having the drive. So I really couldn't wait to talk to Andy on the phone, to hear about how his lunch was, and to tell him about the conversation that I had had with his pastor's friend about the commute. And I don't know, I just felt like it was a God wink saying, this is it.
Yeah, so anyway, when she told me that, I was like, well, I'll call Gene tomorrow. I called him, I said, hey, I'll come help you out. And I sat in on their leadership meeting, I think that Tuesday evening, and I think by the end of the week we realized that church was going to be canceled because of the COVID epidemic. So Gene had called me back, and he's like, well, how about just doing Facebook Live with us? So I brought Builders None in, and we did Facebook Live for 2.5 months or so. And then once the pandemic was kind of closing out, we could get back to church. I stayed on with him there, worked with some of the folks that he had there. Then during that, I don't know, probably 6, 7, 8 months after that, had the opportunity to bring in a few of my friends to come lead worship with us. And everything was going really well until it wasn't. And anyway, we left that church as a group, and I know Gene was really hurt, and he called me to tell me that what had happened. And I said, well, you just let me know what you're doing. I said, you brought me all the way up here to Douglasville. I said, I'm with you now. You're stuck with me. So he called me a couple of days later, and he was like, man, I woke up in the middle of the night, and God's just laying out the church. And I said, well, let's do it. I said, let's do it. I'm with you. And that was the beginnings of one church. Our first Sunday, we met in Gene's living room, Gene and Joanne's living room. And then I had a friend that had always told me, anytime you need my church, you take it. So Wayman, thank you for that. And we were able to start having Saturday night services. And Saturday nights were some of the sweetest services that we've had at one church. Do you agree?
I do agree. And you left out the part where we think you got Gene fired.
Yeah, when I had Gene's former church, Denise kept telling me when I come to do worship, she said, you're going to get Gene fired. Well, guess what? I guess I kind of did. But he left on his own. But anyway, Saturday nights were amazing. And like I said, we continued to build our worship group, and man, God continued to grow. And we got to the place where we needed a facility. And I'm going to let Denise tell that part of the story about how we ended up here in Buchanan.
Well, we were looking at several places. Nothing seemed to be a proper fit or needed a lot of work. And I had drove through the city of Buchanan a few times and never noticed this church building until that day and saw for sale sign on the marquee. And when I looked at the building, I said, who would buy that ugly church? And I went on my way and came back through from running my errands in town. And again, I looked at the church and said, Who would buy that ugly church? Well, then the next day, I was out running errands again, said the same thing the third time. And when I did the third time, I felt so convicted. There's a stained glass window at the top of the church with Jesus, and I thought, he is overlooking this entire community, and here I've said that this is an ugly church, and this could be a beautiful place.
Yeah.
So as we're out looking at churches, we're not finding a fit. I kind of whispered into Andy's ear, well, there is that church in Buchanan. I don't know if anybody'd be interested in it, but maybe it's worth a look.
Yeah, and she's like, you should call Gene. So I called him, and I really didn't think anyone would be interested because we were really looking for the Villa Rica area for our people that were from Douglasville and in that area, so that the commute wasn't so long for everyone. But as soon as I mentioned it, he was like, let's go look at it. And I think we met just a couple of days later here with the pastor at First Baptist here. And man, we fell in love with the place. And I think we knew immediately that this was going to be home. And we were able to purchase it. God, just unbelievable how God moved in just that. Really, the pastor there, he was like, just make us an offer. He said, we would love for y'all to have it. We would love for this place to remain a church. And we made them an offer, and they accepted. We closed on it, and we started renovation. Of course, our first Sunday, we were going to meet in the fellowship hall, and we well exceeded the capacity there. And we ended up having to move upstairs. And it was every week, tear down sound system, put it back up. Tear down, put it back up. Wipe the sheetrock dust off all of your equipment every week. And but those were great times. I think I've probably had my hands on pretty much every area of the church. I've been in that attic more times than I'd like to recall. And Jeremiah's, he knows that quite well as well. Denise, a lot of time here, we would just spend weeknights, months.
After work, as soon as 5 o'clock hit, I was up here at the church, sanding, pulling staples out of the wall, pulling tape off the walls, filling cracks. I loved being here. It was my home away from home.
Yeah, but we're blessed people to be here, and here we are today, 5 years later, and so blessed. God is moving. The church is growing. Not only are we blessing this community, this area, but we're blessing people all over the world. God has put a great group of people together here, and I couldn't be more proud to be part of the pastoral board here, to be the worship pastor here at One Church. And I just believe God's got great things in store for us moving forward. I think 2026 is going to be a great year for us.
Right. And one thing that makes me really proud of One Church is that we're not a church that's made up of people who went to a former church and now come to this church. We're a church that's made up of a lot of newcomers to Christ, and that's what it's all about.
But One Church, and we love you, and happy 5-year anniversary. God bless you guys.
God bless.
Where could I run? Where could I hide that your great love couldn't find